This right here, that's a good Dr. Stone episode if I can put it simply, but there's a lot to break down. There is twists and turns in this week's episode around every which corner. I mean, Hyuga versus Maz is definitely not something I was expecting, but what's more unexpected than even the unexpected revival and wondering if someone we made a prisoner would fight on our side or not because we literally have no other cards to play. The most shocking play was actually how they got the Medusa, and I think that's the biggest plot twist, because I truly didn't see that coming. I mean, I figured Kirisame probably would turn to stone, especially as the episode was progressing. A lot of information seemingly revealed with that stone, or the object that does turn people into stone, but ultimately the way he's just so casually holding it after petrifying the girl, and then all we see is the blood drip down the string as we see his hand just... It's a gnarly hole. Like, that thing's gonna take a while to heal, and if it ever heals properly, I don't know, but there's a lot worse things to worry about in present day, because his hand's blown apart, his face can be next, at least from his point of view, and then we end up getting that W. This was a great episode, and each time I think, man, this is my new favorite Dr. Stone episode of the season, another episode rolls around like this that proves me otherwise. Full live reaction to today's wonderful episode over on my Patreon. If you would like to see that, head on over there, consider supporting. So there's quite a bit that happened here. So ultimately, like I was saying last week, I had the suspicion that this could be the most interesting fight that we've had, even including stuff from Stone Wars, because when you force everyone onto a boat and you're basically fighting up against not only numbers that overwhelm you, but most importantly, there's an object that can turn everyone to stone. I kind of figured the direction they were going to try to go is that someone like Ibara would try to jump off the boat and then command Kirisame to just freeze everyone anyway. Maybe he'd try to swim underwater, maybe he would just take a boat back to the island, I wasn't sure. But ultimately, the direction they went, I think, makes the most logical sense. And this is something that Dr. Stone does a great job at, is how, if you look at their numbers approaching, yeah, there's a couple of good fighters, and most importantly, we have characters like Magma who are just psychopaths. So ultimately, we might be able to overwhelm a little bit, but there's, what, 100 people on that boat, if not more? We probably can't win. So by using quote-unquote sorcery, which is just obviously, shooting things, I mean, Magma was shooting to kill, but he has no aim, of course. I mean, we saw how long it took our cop friend to be able to properly shoot that. But the idea of scaring most of the general warriors off the boat and only leaving a couple left, that makes a lot of sense. And, the thing that I mentioned, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes back, give or take, when ultimately Gen looked like he was losing when he was trying to manipulate the situation and have Maz join up. It was when he jumped them in the cavern. I was like, man, I did not see that coming, but ultimately Gen is a good manipulator. So at this point, when characters are running, right, they're like, oh shit, something bad's happening. I'm like, okay, this is probably all according to plan, but man, does it feel believable. And it was kind of an interesting turn of events, because while it wasn't one of those things where it's like everyone was kind of on the same page, Senku did have a plan, and that plan was to ultimately bring back a fighter who, if he fights for you, probably can win. I wasn't sure what the hell they were doing. At first I was like, wait, are they bringing back Tsukasa? Like, what's going on here? And I'm forgetting, like, we can't even bring him back just yet. And the idea of the prisoner makes a lot of sense, because the thing that's really nice about how they handled the reveal is that ultimately when you look at characters' personality and their beliefs and what they fight for, sometimes it can be superficial from your point of view, but they have character and traits that they follow. I thought what was going to happen with Hyuga would be that he would be able to read through Maz's bullshit, because we hear his internal thoughts about how he's saying what he thinks he wants him to hear, because he recognizes that this dude probably could kill him, but at the same time, they might be evenly matched, but do you really want to gamble when someone is this strong? What I really appreciate is the fact that rather than going the route of Hyuga being able to read through it or seeing the bloodlust, it's just basically your answer was complete ass, and Best Boy's over here talking about the beautiful ladies and building a harem, and he just picks a side ultimately. And it was really nice because this fight is very even. I don't really feel like it's one-sided or one has the advantage. I think if you ran 100 simulations, I think you might be able to argue 50 of them go to Maz, 50 go to Hyuga, just depending on circumstances, because they both are very, very talented. But the biggest surprise, like I said, wasn't the fact that we bring back a prisoner I wasn't even thinking about. It is how they ultimately got the Medusa. The Medusa is interesting though, because something that seemingly got revealed with it, every time we've seen it activate, we've seen it get thrown in the air, but we've never heard voice commands, and that's kind of the impression I got when it came to Ibara. He said something like 1 second, 1 meter, and then he threw it, meaning that it would only activate 1 meter of radius and within 1 second of throwing, and the fact that she went to grab it she was the only one who did it. So it's some form of technology, like it has a voice command, and seemingly you can determine the time before it releases the petrification beam, and 2, it seems that you can also determine how far it has to be away before ultimately it does activate, and that is the impression they gave. Now, there could be more to it, or it could be completely mistaken, but seemingly that's what they want to show us, because using it in that close to someone, I mean, he was literally standing right there. It was only a meter away. Only she ended up getting hurt. And I think it was really nice because something I mentioned early into this season when we got introduced to the island was I thought the first character who would switch sides was Kirasame. I said that I felt like she was the most genuine, I felt like she had the most wearing her heart on her sleeve, but ultimately, upon turns of events, she never ended up joining. But I think this makes a lot of sense because her devotion to the Master, someone who she knows deep down inside is such an amazing and beautiful person, if the Master's word is law, you're not going to question it because of everything they did for you. But finally, there came a point where Ibara's selfishness and just cruelty, she was able to read through the bullshit that the Master is not that type of person, and ultimately we see where it goes. Just an absolute whiplash of emotions. I mean, thinking the gun's done for because, you know, it's an old school style pistol, you know, it's gonna get clogged up from the water, to our boy coming in, shooting, saving the day, unexpected revivals, some great comedy sprinkled in. This is why I love Dr. Stone. Like, Dr. Stone can somehow have moments where Magma gets his head beaten in and he has a mountain on his head because of all the bumps Looney Tunes style, to then quickly go with all the characters running for their life, feeling like they're in a horror film. It's honestly kind of hilarious, and I really love this. The first door, after they run, because they're going into the basement of the boat, so Maz ends up just casually opening the door. I thought he was going to kick that door down. I was like, oh shit. You know, thinking about it, you know, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, imagining them just casually opening the door instead of slashing down, just being like, hey bro, what's up? That's kind of more frightening in a way. And then the second door, he's like, no, I'm going to kick it down. I just love that because my expectations was he'll kick the door down and then he gently opened it up. And then the second one, I'm like, okay, he'll do the same thing. And then no, he busts that bad boy down. It just cracked me up. I really liked it. But this is a great season, man. I think Dr. Stone is getting progressively better as the seasons press on. And damn, am I already excited for a potential season 4. One thing I also really like is the fact that Senku legitimately felt scared in this episode when he did revive our boy, because this is a situation that could easily kill him. Granted, both sides are easily killable, but there was constantly not just like sweat down his face, but you could feel how tense he was. And I like that detail because Senku's a pretty confident bastard, but in this moment, even he realized that this was the gamble of a lifetime. But let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more reviews to the channel. Like I mentioned, we got a full live reaction over on my Patreon if you're interested. And hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Athmil, GG78cc, Cathical, Leal, and Big Boy J. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.